is looking to respond. FaZe looking to survive. We'll see if they can do it as we're well into the ban phase. I saw a lot of phases in that last few seconds there.
Yeah.
And they've already knocked out Hibana, interestingly enough, as our first operator choice. We've seen Hibana become a trend on a few other maps, Bank not necessarily being one of them, but again, considering the huge amount of hatch play that tends to show up inside of this map. Makes perfect sense, Mike.
Yes, we got hatches as well as the top floor elevator hallway, John. Very, very important that that is not opened. Obviously, they're still going to have access to Ace to be able to reach out there as an extended hard breach and possibly get that wall open if it's not electrified, but we'll have to see. The rest of these bans making complete and total sense, but for those at home that are a little bit newer, we'll break them down. Thatcher's EMPs are really good for the offense to clear utility. Kai just so happens to be able to lock up hatches, and whenever Thatcher is banned, his play goes way up when he is available because those hatches will stay locked. It forces you to play Maverick and torch those open. And lastly, Valkyrie has so much potency when it comes to, well, all maps, but Bank happens to be one of her better ones as well.
All right, so let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, here. Let's take a look at what FaZe are going to bring to the table for this defensive side as they're going to go immediately into an upstairs hold for themselves. Taking a look at the specifics of that hold, well, operator lineup's not going to surprise us too much once again, and I would honestly say the same thing for Liquid, but they are going to 6-pick over into an OSA and bring that once more into the fold, specifically for resets here, seeing if that's is going to potentially work out well for this type of push. I would say so. We already saw it work like a charm for Liquid when they went the hookah billiards push back in map number 1. Not the only team to do that as well today, and going to try to pull off the same exact thing upstairs in the CEO hole, which is actually not a site we've been seeing teams go to immediately initially. This site is a little bit risky just considering the amount of crosses that the attackers can get access to from those repelled angles, so some teams are choosing to kind of avoid this one, push it to a little bit later in their picks, or possibly not even bring it in at all for some teams.
Yes, indeed. This top floor defense starting to be built up here for FaZe and taking some pages out of Coastline here. There's a lot of destruction coming in specifically over here for the stock wall. For a lot of other Bank setups, we've been seeing this actually reinforced and a shield plate in the hallway. FaZe does not feel the same about this, as we'll be destroying, well, everything. They're even knocking out the checkers wall here from meeting as well. That could make for a pretty cheeky angle. Obviously, they did end up changing things out towards the west windows for lobby, so that means that this is actually completely doable. You can't rappel up towards those top windows anymore and contest this wall.
So let's see here now how Liquid's going to have to potentially respond to that, and how FaZe will be able to play into this now, too. FaZe, of course, going to be chilling for a minute or two here. Won't have a whole lot to look forward to because Liquid is not going to oblige any of their early positions, or at least not try to directly align against them. Away from that, though, it's mainly about the drone work here for Liquid as they look to clear things out. 4 out of 5 of their players, in fact, on drones there for the first minute of the round, so they get a better idea in terms of what the setup is looking like for FaZe.
Absolutely. And one big thing coming in here for Liquid that we've seen a couple of times on Bank, and we'll continue to point out as we see here, it's going to be OSA. And actually, funny enough, John, just like we were talking about inside of the ban phase, the top wall actually not even reinforced, it's soft, so now Lone can be taken advantage of by Buck. So we'll see Palu hop in, break up the wall. Now Ace can just watch the entire elevator hallway. FaZe can do nothing about this any longer.
Things will once again continue to go quiet. Already half of the timer used up here. Once again, Liquid still primarily just trying to build up for one big play here. PSK as well, bringing in those Argus cams, or Sam cams, you might hear us call them all the time. It's because it's Sam Fisher, of course, in case you guys are tuning in and you haven't been following Rainbow Six Siege. He's made it here into Team Rainbow once again, as he's joined the lineup here for Siege under the name of Zero. Bringing those cameras in, and those cameras also have the capability to, as you probably just saw there, shoot out one little charge which can take out utility from the defensive side as well. Although they're fairly rarely used for that purpose, it's just more of a matter of convenience if it happens to line up for that. More than anything, the cameras themselves are used for the fact that they can be cameras and you can shoot them from super far away. Now you can see here Liquid trying to ascend the spiral staircase, but unfortunately Toxic Babe's in the way is going to slow that process down by quite a bit here. Cameraman can just continuously chuck those in as well, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Deny this presence from Liquid Liquid. This is a great read from the FaZe roster and shows you just how well these teams know each other. Resets and Souls are going to get to know each other real well, apparently, with Resets being the winner of that battle as he takes him out. Bullet with an immediate response to those FaZe try to stay in this fight, bringing it down to a 3v4.
Well, this has been awkward, to say the least, at least when it comes to the banana stairs, but now 15 seconds remain for Liquid. They have to propel themselves forward and actually get in towards the site and get a plan here. Ast taking some damage, but he takes down Cameraman. Is all left up to Astro to try and figure this one out. He'll be able to at least get one body, but oh, does Sam Fisher get him? No, he will not. The M590 out as he bounces back and forth, and he's got these shots. Oh, he'll be able to land
360.
I honestly thought that he had it there for a split second, but he got split in between his targets. He didn't know if he wanted to kill the man on the ground or the guy swinging him, and with that split-second decision-making, just unfortunately enough, shoots right in between them. Gets the goal post, as we like to call it over in America. It's a field goal for him, but a round for Liquid.
What would they call it elsewhere if it's like goalposts?
Well, because nobody else plays on the, football. They play soccer.
Well, we play soccer.
Yeah, we do, but I'm referencing football, which is like, our American football.
I have goalposts in soccer.
Yeah, but it's like, do you call it a goalpost? Like,
yes.
Do you? Are you sure? I'm pretty
the
sure.
sides of the goal.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, well,
I'm pretty sure.
You learn something new every day, it is what it is. I didn't play soccer, man. I sucked at sports. I did like track and ran because I only was good at running from my problems growing up, Chun.
Call it the better football, please.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue it either way. I'm not gonna start that. Latam's literally gonna set me on fire or something. Please don't. Either way, Liquid up 1-0 right now as they're able to start putting things together here on Bank. This offense already coming through in pretty massive dividends, especially for how awkward things were around that banana space. So we'll have to see what else they can possibly get done here. As for FaZe, that first round, again, yeah, a little weird, but I still think that there's some things that they can do overall with this map. I really wouldn't want to see them go back towards the top floor. I'd like to see them get some things going around the open area in the basement where they could possibly sneak some rounds past Liquid.
The unfortunate thing for FaZe 2 is they had the read on the situation. You could tell what that opening of the wall was for as we got towards the mid portion of the round. It lined up perfectly for their smoke to be able to just chuck them in from range there and block out access to the spiral staircase. So once again, FaZe, certainly not for a lack of intel, just failing a bit on the execution there and falling behind in the middle of the fights there, costing them heavily and allowing for Liquid to eventually flood in. Last player alive on FaZe as well, certainly trying to clutch their hearts out, nearly able to do it as it reached the null timer, but just way too many players to deal with and way too close of a quarter situation. So Liquid ended up topping that one out there, and they're going to look to do it again as they get ready to move in for a second time.
Before we get too deep here, I'll tell you this. If Liquid win this in 2-0 fashion, I will admit that soccer is better than football. I'll tell you that right now. But we'll have to see.
Easy dub.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. You never know, especially with Nest taking a lot of heat early on here with Cyber. Nice shots here as apparently FaZe is now contesting for my love of sports. We'll have to see exactly what goes on here. Nesk actually landing some beautiful shots here with the ARX. He'll take down Bullet, but Palu also going to take some heat as well.
Nesk with the opener. And Liquid overall taking a lot of heat for said opener here. Palu, in addition to Nesk, just 1 or 2 bullets worth of life left. So going to have to be very careful with how they proceed forward. And you can tell that already. Drone's moving in here, gets them the intel onto Cyber, but he immediately turns tail, nearly gets caught by the repel pressure. That's still going to be alive and well here also. And it's not even just the repel pressure. You can see a little bit working itself in from the other side of this equation. Also, Cyber has got to be so careful here as he potentially has a date with death if he makes a wrong step in the wrong direction.
Yes, indeed. Drone's in now for resets. He'll discover Cyber's location, and Nesk will discover him. A double kill is, wow, that made my head spin. That happened so fast. Nesk now with top square control and the entire top of the map in control of Liquid.
Really just trying to waste as much time as possible there for Cyber. So did his best. Got us down to a minute on the timer here, but you can see Liquid are quickly encroaching upon FaZe territory as they start to work down the main stairs to get them just a little bit closer towards pushing into the open area. Members of FaZe are ready to defend this one off with 2 in the site. Another one, Souls, is going to be a bit more off over here towards the open area as well as they try to have a bit of a triangle matrix here to fend off any type of push that Liquid would go for. Liquid do need to speed this one up once again. I say that that, but once more, I doubted their presence in the previous round, and they were able to make it work for themselves. This time, gonna maybe pull off the same thing. The impact goes in, but the Selma's far too low on the ground, so it's not gonna make the connection. It will be able to open up things for this team. Souls, however, will use that new window for himself. He's able to take out Ask and bring the numbers bound to a more palatable situation into a 3v4. Red timer now for the members of Team Liquid as they start to work their way in, and a 1-for-1 is not a great way to start, especially with Souls also getting nested.
Oh no! What?
Souls popped the head off his teammate and popped their potential to win that round.
What the hell just happened? How did you kill your teammate? There's nobody else inside of the site. Liquid hasn't even made any presence inside of open area. It's only your fellow FaZe member, my friend. Don't panic. As he just guns down his teammate inside of open area, Liquid will gather that round. I'm honestly surprised that we're not seeing a attack timeout here. That is just not good, especially for
attack timeout and some really big stairs.
Yeah, just that's
like, what was that?
That's where it's just quiet on the bench. You just don't even want to talk. Like, you're just like,
for the sake of the team, we're just going to move on, boys.
Yeah, let's just forget that round. I really don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, just kind of spur of the moment mistake. Obviously, only a few seconds left on the clock, and once again, things get confusing from time to time in Siege, and certainly was the case for that player there on FaZe. Unfortunate, and now hands the second round over to Team Liquid as their reign of this series continues. Now 2-0 over them, and looking to try and control a basement assault to make it a third.
It's like one of those moments in Tarkov where you're like asking your friends where they are and you actually just shoot one of them in the side of the head. Happens all of the time, I tell you. But unfortunate once again there for FaZe. Hopefully they can bounce back in a convincing way here on this round. Just to remind you guys, especially for our FaZe fans at home that love that FaZe up, not all for naught just yet. Bank is, or has indeed been trending towards the offensive favor, so Liquid should be picking up some rounds here. We still want to see FaZe get something done. We don't want a 6-0 half by Liquid. That doesn't mean, oh yeah, they can totally bring it back. That means they have to have a perfect half, and nobody really does that. It's very, very difficult to pull off in a game like Siege with so many variables.
Let's see what FaZe are going to give us on their basement assault when you see a slight extension up over here towards the second floor where Cyber's going to be playing into, and Cyber actually wants to potentially counter a player that would lurk over here towards the skylight. No one in the neighborhood right now from Team Liquid, but that doesn't mean they're not ever going to show up. Cyber just simply waiting for an opportunity. Might try to do this on timing or play this on an audio cue if one is going to present itself from that far away. Nesk, in the meanwhile, working himself onto the inside of Square, and as well pushing forward over towards Jay here, quickly taking out the pest so his support drone can move itself forward and he can get better vision in terms of what the future holds here. That presence just by itself is enough to force the two members of FaZe that were playing main stairs back into the basement as they do not want this fight or this early on with the pressure coming in from top.
Show face and dip here for FaZe. That was at least the game plan, and they've executed it well. Gemini out for Liquid, or at least for Nest's sake, as he'll be clearing out the space, and it's actually a fake instead, as he'll walk downstairs just ADSing. This is actually really, really smart from Nest, because a lot of the times the defense will be like, oh, it's a fake clone. Maybe there's somebody following it up. I don't need to shoot it, initiate. Oh, I'm dead. So, you know, it's just one of those things where you can play those little mind games with that character, which it can be very, very interesting. Palu's not going to have the secondary hard breach here on Buck, so they'll have to have somebody else come in to be able to do that. That's going to be either Ask's job or PSK's. More than likely PSK's, just because Ask's utility is pretty trash when it comes to hatches. You have to use 2 out of your 3 Selmas in order to get 1 hatch. That just doesn't math right. So we'd much rather see the secondary hard breach here from PSK, and that's exactly what we're going to get.
So Liquid using the can openers here to pop things open relatively quickly and get the hatches done. Selma's, 2 of them, unfortunately, going to have to be used to be able to open up some of these other hatches as well, but thankfully again, they did bring the can openers to get the secondary hatch open over towards Elevator, interestingly enough. Liquid possibly taking a note out of the game versus CAG from last night if they want to put some pressure down there. No Montaigne to be seen in this situation, but considering how successful that play was, wouldn't be surprising me if they try to take it for themselves here and use it to put the additional pressure onto FaZe here. 40 seconds left, so regardless of what they do, they're going to need to make a decision soon and potentially have to deal with Cyber, who has gone way to the outside on Garage. And this is someone rotating from Liquid. I saw a silhouette a second ago. It doesn't look like they're going to fully commit to the inside at all. They do have a pocket drone sitting here right underneath the ambulance, I do believe here. Palu also starting off the round well for his team as he knocks out Souls. He'll go back onto the cameras to reconfirm that player is still in the position.
Oh, they're in!
Garage, and yeah, like I said, the elevator hatch open. I don't need to show if that was the one they used. No, it was the vault hatch. It looks like that they went down and were able to get in from there. Time is still low, though, and they haven't forced out pressure from the internal FaZe members just as of yet. Nest getting another kill, but suddenly the response responses are starting to flood back in. Bullet and Cyber picking up. Palu doing all the heavy lifting for Liquid right now. It's not necessarily going to be enough as Resets has to put it down on the ground here. Cyber should have enough time to be able to race over towards the defuse. He's going to pop this open, and there we go. Finishes off the last two players as FaZe finally get themselves on the board on their third site.
Nicely done with the Nitro cell there. We would have loved to have seen Liquid try and pace themselves a little bit better when it came down to their execute. With some extra time there, they could have worked that space that they dropped into, but on low time, they just have to try and take the gunfights and force their will upon the site. FaZe does a very good job of counteracting this, especially with the Garage player. PSK not able to pick up that kill that he was looking for early on there, and well, that was the exact player that was able to thwart all of Liquid's plans. Cyber coming back in, stopping the plant, and getting FaZe their very first round.
So moving right along here for the FaZe roster, going to have to return to areas where things didn't go so smoothly on the last play, but hopefully, having quite a few rounds since then, the leadership of FaZe will have learned their lesson and know what to adjust for the replays. We're back upstairs on the second floor. Remnants of round one going to echo out here as they'll try this one more time against the push from Liquid. Liquid bringing a lot of the same flair as well. In fact, I think a pretty much identical operator lineup, most notably. The Osa coming in here for resets to be able to throw those shields down and add the extra pressure. Wasn't even really needed, to be completely honest with you, because of how successful their overall swing was up through Spiral, but in the event they go for a more traditional push, it certainly can help the play.
Absolutely, my friend, and as of right now for Liquid, they've given up the one round, but they're not looking to give up more. So he's trying to set things up a little bit stronger for this offensive side this time, but luckily enough, this site already being well handled the last time around, although it did get a little weird up around the banana stairwell. We'll have to see if they can possibly be able to figure things out a little bit better for their sake, although FaZe really only having that one member up against four, it just could have really went either way with how things were around that banana space and the way that the windows played inside of that one. So now Astro downstairs to defend underneath the site and make sure none of those depth charges or frag grenades are used on his teammates.
So things continue to look well here for Team Liquid as they line themselves up for another assault. Getting into this site, it's looking like they're going to put a lot more pressure on the repels this time as well. I can see if maybe they can find out one or two players from the FaZe side of things. Not going to see much of a response, though, from those windows. What you guys can see here, once again, there's basically zero presence on the internal site by itself. A lot down below, though. That's where Astro is going to look to try and come into the fold here. First shield already used up, and they're just going to pop a second one right on there as Resets going to try to put some additional pressure of his own on the players hiding back a little bit further into meeting room, where they've got a safer harbor to hide inside of.
Resets will be droning out the site for a time, as well as Nesk, as he has his over near square. Souls will be manning checkers with a body of cameraman inside of the main conference hall. Still the two FaZe members down low as well. As we know from Liquid, they like to take their time with their information game before they harshly execute onto the site, which can be very punishing, especially if they're able to get that info bountifully. So either way, cameraman now moving his way over into the janitor space, holding on to this for a time. And in 15 seconds remain here as Liquid continue to man the north windows.
Everyone from Liquid looking for an opportunity to work their way in, but once more, just like the previous few rounds here, it's relative inaction for the first 2 minutes, all posturing up, all trying to gather intel here in hopes that they can make their way in one fell swoop and not really give FaZe much of a chance for a response here. The focus here is trying to take out the players down below. The drone, I think, did sneak in well enough to be able to spot out the position from Cyber, but beyond that, though, still a bit more to be detected, and certainly not enough for Palu to risk the swing just as of yet. He'll go for it and just barely wins that engagement. Only about 30 HP remaining, so it's an easy trade for Astro on the inside of Archives to maintain his own position. A Planetep now going to go down onto the ground. Souls immediately responded to that, but he's going to get caught just after the Nitro goes out. He's not able to use it. A Nitro really deployed from down below, but it doesn't really do much here. And now PSK able to catch Astro before he can cause any more problems from his position down below. It's up to Nesk and PSK to continue holding on to this one as Bullet, Souls, and now a newly revived cameraman are going to move in for the retake with the diffuser down on the ground.
Well, 25 seconds here as FaZe have to retake the site away from Liquid. Nesk with some beautiful shots onto Souls. Somebody more than likely going to have to hop out here. It's going to be Bullet as he'll be able to take down Nesk. It's all left up to PSK, but oh no. That's it. That's
what just happened?
That's the round. I don't know what to say.
Why did you hop?
Hey, you're asking me, man. I don't know. I think somebody accidentally hit a space bar or something.
Where was the plant?
It was upstairs inside a CEO.
Was it like next to a window?
I don't think so. I think it was next to the left-hand side wall, at least if you're looking at it from Banana.
It was apparently next to the desk.
Yeah, I think it was definitely not on top of the window. I can tell you that for sure. I don't really know why.
Maybe he got like challenged and he panicked or something?
We're about to find out here. Let's look through this replay. Yeah, the plant is indeed over by the wall. So you can see it through the wall right here. So, yeah, smoke just...
What was he doing?
I don't know, John.
I got to look at the replay for that one.
Oh, that was...
I don't want to judge it too harshly because like maybe there was a reason for it, but
I think he thought his teammate was dead. That's what I think, and he was like, "I need to go out and get this kit." Oh, wait, I could have defused and won the round. Yeah, so extremely unfortunate for FaZe there because that would have been their second round, but for Liquid and our Liquid fans at home, I mean, count your lucky stars. That never happens.
Liquid getting away with a whole lot of rounds they have no business taking inside of this game here. And that calls back even to our first map where we saw that happen a few times also.
So I got the plant spot. Thank you to production for showing me this on our overhead view. It was planted right next to the CEO desk. So it's not next to the window at all. He actually just committed to hopping out the window to try and assist his teammate inside of a 2 versus 1. He might have thought that they possibly had another body and recognized that his teammate had died and went for the assist instead. But
there was still no time left though. He's like he needed to be in there.
I completely agree with you. Yeah. But as you and I both know, we are the commentators and that's kind of our whole spiel. We get to kind of sit here and be like, oh, well, that was bad. So, I mean, it happens in the moment. Things get chaotic with Siege. We see it happen all the time. That is just a critical blunder that if Team Liquid end up taking this map and it happens to be pretty damn close, FaZe is really going to want back.
Absolutely the case. So FaZe now needing to fight extra hard for an additional few rounds here.
FaZe really want me to say that soccer's better than football, don't they?
That's like the second blunder just inside of this map too. Because remember the team kill back on the open area hold as well. Like it's frustrating to watch.
It's definitely aggravating. I can feel the heat from the FaZe bench all the way over here, and we're like 100 yards away currently. So, I mean, as of right now for FaZe, you just got to clear the mental slate. I mean, I understand how frustrating this can be, trust me, but you are at SI right now. This means so very much as to what continues to go on in this group. And not only that, these are two of the best squads from Brazil. This means quite a bit just to your home audience.
Absolutely the case, even when you just consider the overall dominance that's existed for LATAM inside of the 2021 and the 2022 season, and the fact that FaZe were the most recent champions out of all of them. Even looking back, of course, to our most recent major, just about an hour or so north from here over in Yevla, when they were able to take the title a few months back. Looking, of course, to repeat that success on a global scale by taking control of SI as well. But things in this matchup versus Liquid, not going so hot at the moment.
Yeah, you might have won a major, but do you got a hammer, though? That's the real question. They really want to bring that thing home, but so does Liquid as they're continuing to push forward here. This round already down to 1 minute and 15 seconds, but not very much active play going on. And it's actually matched itself with the previous offense from Liquid. FaZe not even holding the top space this time around. Reset's making the exact same play he did the last time with Osa. He's going to get a hold of Marble and slap that Osa shield down just for the time being to hold the stairwell and make sure none of the FaZe members can possibly rotate up into his teammates. With only 15 seconds remaining, though, looks like Liquid need to try and hop too as that timer begins to dwindle.
Well, it will find the first blow inside of this round finally after 2.25 minutes of absolute inaction from both teams. Nesk is the one to get knocked out as well. A powerful player now removed from the element entirely inside of round number 5 here. You can see some last-minute adjustments coming in from Team Liquid, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Once again, though, this is a team that builds up all their intel, barely executes it, and then does everything in one fell swoop at the 20-second marker. So don't count them out of it, even though they've lost a player. FaZe should be in good control, though, especially with Souls popping up in surprise. And a quick follow-up to that one as well to get himself a second. This third one should be easy against Palu. He's just trying to cheat in for that kill there. It's not going to happen. PSK is left alone off on an island over here towards the front pillars. and he's not even going to have a hope of closing it down. So he'll just save his life, save his KD, and this one will go confidently into FaZe's pocket.
Yeah, PSK shaking his head a little bit there. Had that top floor control, but not able to do literally anything with it. They get no picks, they get no damage onto the FaZe members, and really it's just the Soul Train that walks through Liquid inside of this round. Beautiful triple kill from him, as we'll see it again here. The prone body of Palu trying to find him inside of Printer, but simply can't get it done. Liquid looking to split the half forward 2 here, if they can muster it, going into the site that FaZe had their strongest defensive setup on, I would say, after Liquid had to drop in on the back end, if you really don't want to count that open area around, because Liquid just pacing-wise really weren't inside of that one. So kind of unfortunate for them at that moment. Either way, though, we're going to have a 6-pick come out here from the Zofia back onto the Osa for resets. So we'll see if we can put those Osa shields to good use on the downstairs site.
FaZe in a good position and now try and even us back up for their final defense of the half here, as they'll be heading into the basement once again. This is where they held solid control once more, and also at the same time, looking back at the previous play, Liquid struggled in the same way they did in the most recent round. So assuming we had no tack pause, unless there is a secondary plan in motion that they're ready to immediately bring into the fold, you can expect a possible same result here and the same issues to show up for Liquid. That relative inaction in the early round costing them heftily, as they'll try to force the issue and walk into the setup, more than likely giving the round to FaZe if things repeat themselves in the same way.
All right, well, 5 seconds remaining in this prep phase for FaZe. So we'll let the dogs out and see what Liquid can possibly do inside of this round. Or rather, horses. That'd be a little bit more spot on for Liquid. As of right now, it's looking like Liquid want to try and progress in through the dirt tunnel. This is something that we don't see happen too often in competitive play. It happens all the time in other aspects, though. This is actually looking like a pretty direct setup, at least for Liquid. We're starting to get more of a what's going on site. FaZe have actually adjusted themselves up to open area for the time being, so it's actually looking like they could simply try and just run over Souls. As look at all of these FaZe members on the top floor. If Liquid's able to recognize this, they could just go direct.
We'll see if they are able to catch that one, and more importantly, if they want to tempt fate on that one, as there could still be a fairly hefty collapse against them if they're not careful there. The retake could be rough, trying to play so many angles from the bottom to the top, but it looks like they do catch onto it here. A path has been opened into the site via soft breach, and they're going to follow it through more than likely. This could be a good thing for FaZe. At the same time, though, Liquid, if they're able to properly fend off all the rotations from up on top, this could work out fairly easily for them as well. A very tense situation for both teams, as neither one wants to be the first to make a mistake, and as a result of that, neither one wants to be the first to make a move here either. But obviously, in time, it'll be forced upon Liquid.
That timer always ticking down, and it's the one thing you can never fight is time. As Liquid trying to find their first kill, Nesk tosses a grenade on inside of the red hall, but not finding too much. It'll be the Selma charge out to destroy the Mira here. Hop back onto the bulletproof to see if anybody's in garage, but now Ask will start his plant. The Selma charge on the actual red space will prevent anyone from actually knowing what's going on. Astra will be here. They're waiting to see what's going on, and Ask on the exit frag as well. Liquid is picking FaZe to pieces. They don't have any opportunity to try and fight back. These Osa shields are going to be so hard to manage in this area.
They even already had a plan to counter the upstairs players too. You could see that with PSK countering out one of them, trying to work their way quickly over towards the main stairs to wrap back down. It's not going to work out. Look at this. The two players from FaZe are just frozen at this point. No idea what to accomplish here. Bullet holding the angle is gifted, actually. The pick Ask, but immediately Nesk is going to be able to exchange that back out. Cyber gets one for himself, but he's got 3 more to eliminate, and only 3 seconds to get on the counter defuse. Nesk will finally take him out. Some good stuff indeed there. Our last player alive on FaZe, trying to get himself back down into the basement, but it is too little too late. And more importantly, it is too little presence on site overall in the round, and Liquid are able to waltz right in and get an easy plant.
Masterfully done from Liquid inside of that round. Love what the Osa shields were able to accomplish as they set those up on both ends. Obviously, one a little bit more punishing, as Bullet's able to just use that clear eye view to be able to pick himself up a kill, but not before he gets taken down by the Osa himself. So very well done there by Liquid. FaZe looking to come back on the offensive side now. Already getting some 6 picks out here from Liquid, as they're going to bring in the mute for the locker CCTV defense. So could be seeing some cheeky things come in here.
Aside from that here, not going to be anything too surprising, save for those 6 picks. And actually, Liquid just going for the straight reattempt as well, back down into the basement now after FaZe had things not go too well for them. Liquid are going to immediately jump onto that themselves, feeling that they have the winning strategy to also take control of this one. Echo is, of course, back in play after being banned out in the previous map, and it's looking like Liquid going to be using that. PSK continuing to support his teammates in the best capability. Lots of Nomad play on the attacking side on the previous map there, and now bringing in the Echo to assist his team in any sort of close or tense situation here that might require a Yokai ping or two.
We're going to have the Warden coming in here for Team Liquid as well, more than likely placing that inside of blue so they can hold on to that for a little while longer. Pretty rudimentary Mira setup here for Liquid as well. One to man the main stairwell, other one inside of red to make sure that the plant doesn't go down, how FaZe sees fit, so they'll have to get rid of that a little while later. But the big thing is that they don't have the same utility as Liquid, and as we know, all utility is not built the same in this game. No ranged hard breach here to be able to deal with that Mira window, so they'll have to try and find another means in order to do so.
See just a little bit of a poke from Liquid as they try to work themselves up to the top of the main stairs. Just trying to show presence here to cause some respect to come out for the members of FaZe. Won't really work for too long here, though. Astro quickly puts the Argus cam down to keep Overwatch on that. And welcome, by the way, to all the viewers of Stream A. We just finished up with the CAG match, so we're going to bring you all in here now to check things out on Team Liquid versus FaZe. If you weren't with us earlier, you missed the first map where Liquid weren't able to control things after a bit of a back and forth affair. Liquid went up 2-0, FaZe went 4 rounds straight, but then when Liquid got onto the attack, they took over and were able to ultimately win it in the final round of regulation, 7-5, and are now already on their way to a second map here on Bank.
Before things get too hairy, we'll fill you in on the interesting rounds we've seen. FaZe botching a post plan as they both hop out of the north windows for upstairs when Liquid's members are all dead, not able to defuse, unfortunately enough for them,
basically,
as well as some other mishaps happening for FaZe on their defensive end that could have gotten them effectively 2 other rounds and might have possibly have won them the defensive side and the map, but we'll have to see. We just switched sides now, and as we're halfway through this round, FaZe is starting to make headway on the basement.
Basically, if you're a FaZe fan, you might want to go and get a drink or something, because it's been rough here a bit. You might just want to wait and see how this one pans out before you commit yourself too heavily towards it. But
might be heavy drinking. That might be the only heavy thing that's happening at the end
but
of this.
There is hope yet for FaZe. They redeemed themselves primarily on the attacking side back on Coastline. Are going to look to pull off the same thing here on Bank. We've been seeing a lot of attacker-sided maps, and this one should potentially be no different here as FaZe starts to line themselves up for the basement assault here. At the same time, though, still going to have to drain out all the defensive utility. 0 of the Toxic Babes have been forced prior to this point here, so Ass just going to start bleeding them in one after another here. He has no pressure against him. Might even try to preset this one if the angle works out in his favor. You can see Souls trying to creep in, trying to see if there's maybe a window for him to sneak towards it and find a diffuse plant, but will not end up happening. Second Toxic Babe now out. The third one will come right after this one. I think there'll only be about 10 to 12 seconds remaining when the time that third one fades away. So once again, going to be a very short window. Only 1 or 2 plant attempts at most for FaZe to try and make this work. Waiting for that one to work its way out. Actually, looks like the third Toxic Babe did get stopped. Nitro thrown out, but that's going to be caught. Ask as well here, along with Paulo, able to take down 2 players attempting to support the plant, but they don't stop the plant itself. It goes down on the ground, and now we enter a 5v3 post-plant scenario to see if FaZe can hold on and negotiate a third round for themselves. Bullet holding on for himself here, and not only that, but getting the kill versus Paulo, who had been a massive thorn in the side of FaZe up until this point in the round. Ness wrapping back up, though. Him and Reset's going to find 2 very important picks, leaving everything on Souls from up on top, but he defends his own position here, as well as the defuse, and they're just going to walk right into it here. Suddenly, it's realistically a 1v1. Reset's trying to get himself on it. He has to stick this at this point, and Souls will know it. Can't actually find him so easily, but no, he jumps off to take the duel there, and now it won't matter. Yeah, he's got back on the counter defuse, but there's no time left, so this round is going to FaZe.
A little bit of a mismanagement and utility there from Liquid as well. They had 3 Nitro cells. That other smoke coming in very early as well. They only used 1 Nitro cell to try and fend off the plant, and then past that, they just let it go through. That's not what's supposed to happen in the slightest. Obviously, some of those members off into some pretty, far off spaces, like the garage, for instance, like what we saw inside of that. But past that, Liquid doing a pretty good job of being able to resurge up the stairs stairwell and take those fights. The biggest thing is that they still had a member drop back downstairs, which just left the 1v1 up top. And if you saw the HP after that initial engagement, the last remaining FaZe member had literally like 5 HP. So if they kept that stack up top, they win that round right there. And that would be 5-2 in favor of Liquid. But unfortunately not. They choose to drop back down, which is ill-advised in the moment. The high ground wins it for FaZe in that one.
With FaZe winning out that round, they're right at the cusp of tying things up here. Early days, however, inside of the half, so plenty of opportunity for Liquid to rebound outside of that basement hold, and indeed, they are going to abandon it. No retries this early on for Liquid. They're going to go hunting for a more successful site and look to try and find it instead towards open area where they can spread their wings a bit more freely, especially inside of the early round, and try to waste the time of FaZe. Also, much greater capability to actually try and find some opening picks against FaZe with those extended positions. Specifically upstairs here, we can see their Thunderbird deploying into the usual spot towards Janitor. There should be at least one more than likely player going to be trying to hold a power position somewhere nearby.
Well, now for FaZe, they've been able to get one round on the board already on their offensive side, so more than likely all of the blunders that happen to their defensive end already out of their minds as they try and push themselves forward here on Bank. Bullet will repel himself up towards the balcony, and Astro will start looking in towards Electrical. As for Liquid, they've extended themselves upstairs here for the open area defense. Palu and Ness currently on the marble stairwell, working their way back down. Ask also inside of Tellers for the moment as they've pushed themselves out towards the north side of this mid-floor.
Oh, the rest of Liquid here being so cautious about the way they shift around just in case FaZe has taken a bit more map control than they would consider. This nade could be a winner. Reset spots it coming and is able to get behind another bookshelf there to save his own life. Hot ping actually onto him. They want to force him out of the room entirely, which means FaZe might try to go for this play here super early on. We can see it. Astro on the inside. They get the intel against him, but the kill is smooth against Ask, and they're able to take him into a downstate. No confirmation onto that just yet, so there is a possibility we could see him get revived if he gets far enough away from that door. You can see Reset sitting right next to him, but Reset's a little bit concerned for a player to walk up, so no opportunity going to be given. Palu instead will be the next to fall, and technically the first to fall here outright. Bullet will now move in, get the confirmation off onto Reset's Ask. Did get himself back up, but he's only got that 20 HP left, so it's going to have to hope it's enough here. Cameraman finally the first to fall for FaZe. Nets will get himself out into the main stairs first floor hallway and trade that one back out to make the scoreboard a bit more palatable here for Liquid.
Feels as though FaZe has already done so much inside of this round, and it's only 1 minute and 10 seconds here for Liquid to fend off the remaining members of this FaZe roster. But it's seemingly all Nesk at the moment. He'll tie things up, going down into the 3 versus 3. PSK to add on and Ask to put it into the 2 versus 1. Bullet currently 10 and 5, but do they know where he lies in wait? Currently here inside of the office. He could get a pretty cheeky kill onto Nesk if he doesn't look into this area while rotating in through archives, but he's just going to play patiently here. Knows that FaZe has to do something, and instead of the 2v1, they do not want to mess this up.
And if Liquid are smart, they would have noticed the case dropped as well, so not even going to be forced to make a play in that regard. Bullet, as a first step, is going to have to go back and be able to pick that one back up over towards the break room. So Bullet realizing once more that no one on Liquid's going to potentially challenge his position inside of admin. Finally have to swing out and go make the play himself here. He's going to try to line up a nade shot, but sees it coming. However, uses that to be able to take down Ask, so the round is not over yet. That's a plant opportunity at a minimum that's going to be opened up for him here. Hot ping's going out as fast as they can be thrown against Bullet here, but Ness doesn't want to challenge it. He's looking for a smooth angle. He should be able to get it. He is going to let that plant go down, but no, he doesn't want to give up the death. The round goes over to Team Liquid by default here as we reach a null timer.
Oh, I'm sweating bullets with how close that one got there by the hair of his chinny chin chin. Does that timer hit 0 and Liquid will get away with the round. 5-3 as they'll pick up their very first defense on this side. And it was looking pretty hairy early on there as FaZe was able to deal some very serious damage to these Liquid members, especially around the Teller's space. But luckily enough, Liquid have a Nesk, and he's shooting pretty straight today.
Yeah, Nesk saving the day inside of that round as well. That was a 3v5, by the way, folks, from Team Liquid right there. And Nesk got it all started and did a whole bunch of the heavy lifting. I believe at least 3 kills on that comeback from him. So excellent stuff to be able to keep his team in control at what is now once again a +2 advantage, restoring where we were at halftime and obviously pushing us 1 round closer. The ultimate 7 that Liquid need to not only shut down this map, but 2-0 their opponents in the series.
Well, this is interesting. It seems like FaZe thought that Liquid could have possibly have went back down the stairs or something along those lines. Astro is going to be bringing the secondary hard breach here for Nook. That's the thing that I've got on my mind right now as I'm figuring out what they would possibly apply that to inside of this space. But past that, they already have other hard breach to be able to achieve a lot of things. Cameraman with the Maverick Torch can assist them in getting rid of some of the utility in the, behind these walls, but they can also just man it from the windows as well and get rid of these mute jammers, so that's a little bit more straightforward and requires a lot less heavy lifting, so we'll more than likely just see that so that Souls can get those open. But as of right now, Liquid have just been doing so much damage to the FaZe members in a lot of different senses, so we'll see if they can continue to do so. Looking into the defensive setup just a little bit more, they will be manning the elevator hallway, at least on the second level. Top level will be manned as well as they put mute jammers on both of those walls to restrict FaZe from gaining access.
He's wasting no time. Cyber specifically just popping open all the barricades over here on the rappel to open up possible peeks to throw in. You don't want to open up every single one of them because then you have to risk hop-outs and silent ones at that, potentially being thrown against you from Liquid if you overcommit to your rappels and don't have enough pressure to watch all the windows here. FaZe as well, wasting no time taking their own bits of access inside of the building. Square was left open for the taking over at top side. Now I say open. There's going to be that soft wall leading into the site that they'll have to be constantly paying attention to in the event that someone from Liquid wants to swing out against that. That's a pretty rare occurrence, but still, they have to be keeping a watchful eye over this because not only could they get aggressive against them, but they too could also find an advantage as there's quite a bit of a vision pain to go all the way back into the site. But things start out well here for Liquid. They get the first kill yet again as Bullet, easily the most powerful fragger inside of this map for FaZe, has fallen by the wayside. It's going to be an 11-6 record as of this round for Bullet here. Not going to be able to fight, however, on that Yana, and Liquid will have an easy time chilling out now with a 5v4.
And it's the struggle bus now for FaZe. They're trying to keep Liquid off of match point, but this is looking like a Liquid round, at least for now, after taking down the main frag for FaZe. Liquid still holding on to a lot of important areas, especially around the main stairs space that we see Nesk in right now, just simply waiting to see if anyone wants to step up to the plate. Astro will sneak up and grab the case at the top of Square as Cyber sneaks in as well. Obviously a soft wall here, and he can abuse that with the sledgehammer, and he will do so. Chooses to hop outside so he can assist in manning the windows. Only going to take a little bit of HP due to that drop, but that's about it. PSK does have that 1.5, so he can contest at range, but obviously those ARs are going to be dealing a little bit of extra damage, so he's really got to worry about getting all those body shots in and onto him. Cameraman will take out resets. Nesk to fight back onto Cameraman, though, as it's a 4 versus 3. Astro will start the plant off now, right inside of the smoke, and seemingly no one aware of this situation, as the plant's just going to go off, and FaZe already have the crosses set up for the windows.
Liquid, an issue that kind of is surfacing again that we saw happening from time to time back over on the inside of our first map for Coastline. Just nowhere near enough presence in the site. They have to pay too much respect over to FaZe's attack, and as a result of that, a very clean plant is gifted on a silver platter over to our friends from FaZe here. Liquid still going to look to negotiate position to get back in, but they've got a lot of rappel positions to deal with here. Not only that, Square retake too, so this is looking rough here. After a great start was found from Liquid too, they backed up far too much and have given FaZe all this real estate to play with. PSK, a futile attempt more than likely in a moment to get himself on the counter defuse, and it'll immediately be caught. And it's not much longer until Palu is knocked out as well. Another one up on the board for FaZe. They are not giving up just yet here as they come within one round's grasp with the scoreboard again.
I don't even know if you can really give that to FaZe. That just seemed more like a sloppy round there from Liquid, especially since they have Echo in play as well. They have zero idea as to what's going on inside of their own site, and he walks in and plants inside of a smoke with basically everyone alive on Liquid. That's not supposed to happen. So for Liquid, they're going to allow FaZe back into this in a certain sense, as FaZe has gotten their 4th point here, trying to tie things up here at 5. Liquid are going to abandon ship when it comes to the top floor, as they will reinsert into lockers and CCTV.
Let's see how the reattempt for Liquid will go on the basement, as this worked out for FaZe on the previous attempt here, able to negotiate themselves a pretty successful win. So this could very well become a fatal mistake for Liquid if they allow FaZe to come out on top of this one once more. And on top of that, push forward to a 5-5 scoreline. Very, very tense matchup once more here. Could go the full distance. These two teams are trading it out, but Liquid still feels they're in good control, so they've attempted this basement hold one more time and are going to bring a very similar flair to it. The Mira is in check here as well for Nest. Hopefully add a few better intel gathering capabilities and the fact that they're going to be able to maintain additional pressure over here from Red Hall, get the intel through the Miras, and then maybe go out for a swing, maybe get some better utilization on those Nitro Cells this time too. But a big changeup has shown up even in that regard as well. And actually, give us a second here, folks. We are going to go for a rehost from the looks of things.
Yeah, well, looks like we something go on here, so get things figured out, folks, and once we do, we will be back. Shouldn't be too long, though, so just go grab your drinks or something from the kitchen, come on back, and I'm sure we'll be back into the map. Just had a little bit of a sound issue for one of the members, so just gotta make sure those in-ears are working, and once they do, we'll be right back.
Everything will be pretty much the same, though. Once again, operator picks and all that is going to be forced to be relocked in the same exact way that they were done just now here. And thankfully, we didn't actually get too far into the round itself, so not a whole lot being revealed in terms of either team's setup. But either way, though, expect things to be relatively the same in terms of said setup, like we were talking about before, the mirror window coming into the folds there, hopefully allowing for Liquid to get better intel about when and where that plant attempt is going to come down towards, and hopefully allowing them to properly utilize the one Nitro they did have to properly fend that one off. They get that case down on the ground, especially considering how low time both of these teams have been pushing into the site. That will more than likely mean victory for Liquid here if they're able to put that down onto the ground.
Absolutely the case, my friend, as Liquid likely talking out how that last round win and trying to see what they can possibly do with this downstairs defense. It's been back and forth between these teams, but it really hasn't been clean siege across the board. We've been seeing some pretty sloppy rounds from both teams, as this bank especially, for some reason, has just been the hair bringer of problems for both squads.
Yeah, absolutely the case here. Once again, both these teams still feeling like they have the confidence necessary to close things down. Both teams feeling like they can play fairly aggressively from their defensive ends as well, even though once more, this has been a fairly attacker-dictated series so far here, with FaZe now trying to bounce back and nearly accomplishing that feat already by jumping onto the side for themselves. This one more round would finally tilt the equation to the other direction here. They're currently up by 1 round overall on the half here. They are able to find just this one more. They'd be up by 2 and finally be able to tie the scoreboard up at a 5-5 overall scoreline here.
Well, for Liquid's sake, you're really hoping that they can get something going inside of this next round. They're more than likely going to be looking to play in towards the basement. More than likely not going to be laying too much time on the 2nd and 3rd floor, just because it can be so damning for the players that try to do so. We saw the same thing happen inside of the Na'Vi game the first day with Oxygen, with Doki all the way upstairs, and he constantly got picked off because of the pressure exerted from the offense. As for the previous times, though, that we've seen, especially for Liquid's sake on their offensive side, we've seen some pretty clean executes into this basement area, especially because of FaZe's roam strategy around the open area, the last time around. And as well as with the basement, like we saw with Liquid's round, they had a really good opportunity to be able to take that round. The only mishap that they happened is they pushed 2 people upstairs. They're able to kill the open area player, but there's still one in square. And, well, one of those Liquid members dropped back down the hatch to be able to try and assist the other member down low, left the other one in an isolated 1v1 up top, and wouldn't you know it, he lost the gunfight, knocking the other player down to 5 HP, but I mean, at that angle, it's very hard to contest. They would have kept that other body upstairs, more than likely a Liquid round, but hey, it is what it is. That's Siege.
These mistakes that can be corrected fairly easily, though, more stylistic issues rather than faults directly of the team's internal strategy. So once again, as long as Liquid has caught on to those things, they're going to be looking to quickly renegotiate and reposition their players into stronger spots here for when the push comes in against FaZe, as we get deeper and deeper into this round. And what's more, if things go in the favor of Liquid, they will be 1 round closer and only 1 round away from shutting down this series, and still keeping the overall advantage relatively the same too, at a +2 in their favor here. So you got teammates still talking about things as we work on getting the lobby ready to rock and roll here. It's looking like we are almost good to go, so just another minute or two, and we should be good to resume play here and see if FaZe are going to be able to give us another successful attack on this basement side.
I'm jealous of these sick-ass tattoos that these guys have. If you saw, we got the R6 tattoo over here on one of the FaZe members, as well as Nesk actually has Valkyrie on his hand as well, which is pretty sick, man. I'm telling you. It's one of those things that once you start getting tattoos and you see other people with really cool tattoos, you're like, oh, I should get more tattoos. I'm telling you, you get addicted so very quickly. But either way, folks, we are just moments away from getting back into Liquid versus FaZe. We're just finishing patching up the little odds and ends here as we rebuild this lobby.
Yep, guys, once more, if you are just joining us, we want to welcome you to the series here. It's Team Liquid versus FaZe, our third out of 4 series to be played out here today at the 4th day of the SI 2022 qualifiers. Both these teams have been playing their hearts out, of course. Both are certainly wanting to try and take the lion's share of points. You should keep in mind, folks, that this group stage is not super brutal for teams that had a good start here on days 1 through 3. You only need to get 4th out of 5th place to maintain a position in our playoff bracket, which will be generating very, very soon after the games tomorrow finish off here. But considering how close some of these groups have been, once again, don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to a potential upset if things should go awry for you. And on top of that, you still want to try and fight for as high of a seed as possible. That's potentially going to give you a more favorable matchup, as you'll have more than likely a first seed leave you versus the 4th seed from another group, so on and so forth.
And I actually just noticed that R6 tattoo on Soul's arm, it actually has the Batman logo
Yeah,
on
I saw it too.
which is so sick. Because if you guys notice, FaZe also actually has some Batman jerseys and stuff like that, and some apparel from that, which is pretty dope at the end of the day. Liquid's had some really cool jerseys over their time as well. If you guys remember the Marvel jerseys, those are probably my favorite, like the Iron Man and Spider-Man jerseys and stuff like that. Some pretty sick esports merch coming out in the last couple of years.
So once again, folks, fortunately, it doesn't look like we have a quick fix on the issue just as of yet, as I noticed that player had to drop out and rejoin. So we'll update you as soon as we have something, but once more, still working on making sure we have a solid fix, making sure we have as good of an environment as possible for our players before we go for the absolute resummation of play here. And it's like we're getting close. Just want to confirm everything's good more than likely once the players get in, and then we should be good to hop back in the server.
Hey, silence. Let's see what we can get going here for the Liquid guys. As Silence eyes down the camera, looks like we're just about ready to go, folks. And we are indeed. The lobby started. You can't see it just yet, but we are indeed in the reveal phase as we are getting back in here. We just want to make sure that everybody can use their ears this time around before we get too deep. Zofia will be the 6th pick yet again here for Cyber, but as we all know, that had to happen. Unbeknownst to Liquid, though, obviously, so that's why it was 6th picked in this fashion. Start off with a Sledge, then pick back into the Zofia. You do not want to give any extra information to your teammates, or rather your opponents.
So let's see here if this break was the little bit of vigor that Team Liquid needed to come up with a winning strategy for this hole. Like we said before, the operator lineups are going to need to be the same, so setups can be a little bit different. We are going to see the immediate pop of the mirror window that is placed over on the far wall leading to the back end of servers. That is going to punish anyone from FaZe that tries to take this control early, because immediately you can see Liquid fight out against that, and on top of that, it's going to be a bit more difficult to not only support the planter because it's a bit of an awkward angle, but it's even more difficult just to get the wall open because things like exos and whatnot can be fairly easily shot out on the usual positions that they would be placed at. Even things like Mavericking opening that wall, it's going to be nigh impossible when you consider you would have to peek the angle itself quite a bit to be able to make the line up on top here. Just Swiss cheesing as well, the other wall. A little bit awkward for FaZe to be able to clear that up, but shouldn't be too much of an issue here in the grand scheme of things, considering they have the breaching charges. Not only that, but the lifeline available as well there on Cyber.
Well, now for Astro, make an immediate entry into the building, a pre-fire onto Nesk as they will get back downstairs. Secondary hard breach now for Astro, making a lot more sense. Seemed like they thought that this was going to be a downstairs execute instead the last time around when they had to play into CEO, but still worked out pretty handedly for them. Last time we saw them utilize Zero for this exact setup, but obviously this works out too, as they will still have the secondary hard breach. Cyber will be putting the breaching charges down that we usually see the Sledge role fulfill that connects this, so instead it'll just be those to connect these rooms and make the rotations a little bit easier. Liquid setup though favoring more of a turtle, as Ask will be inside of blue here with some ADSs and other things around the deployable shield.
Ask continuing to wait out his position.
Well, actually, no, I take it all back. There's literally nothing here. I don't even think Resets has a disc inside of this space.
Yeah, pretty sure you're right. He's just...
Oh, no, there is one. Thank God.
One little cheeky one in the corner there. The drone has seen it, though, so that there's probably going to be pretty quick pressure, I would imagine, from FaZe to try and force him out here. At minimum, the nade dump will come in here, and that'll get rid of the one magnet, meaning once more his deployable shield and his position overall will become quite vulnerable. Another drone moving in kind of reconfirms the obvious thing they already knew, which is that there isn't a whole lot of resistance to this play. Ask will get himself in position, and it's important to note too that the potential dump of grenades, as long as they're not actual frag grenades, he's going to be all right because he's got those smart glasses there. So flashes, for instance, going to be able to see through that. Smokes, going to have no problem seeing through that. So just has to make sure that there is going to be too much frag grenade pressure and that he'll be able to avoid the large majority of that. He actually goes for a swing and no, pays the price for that one. Cyber saw it coming from a mile away, was waiting for an opportunity to punish that potential play and is going to do exactly that, handing over server on a silver platter with a player advantage now in FaZe's pocket.
Yes, indeed, but very low time now and only one member of Liquid taking any heat inside of this, so it's still a 5 versus 4 and very doable for the Liquid members. Lots of utility being poured in towards site now, but you can hear Resets discs grabbing a lot of this, but FaZe looking to execute pretty quickly here. Cyber moving around the hatch, grenade out here for Cameraman as well. That'll do some serious damage to Nesk, and that's exactly why you want some ADSs down to 1 HP. 26 seconds remain as the Yana clone will grab some extra information. Soul's looking for a plant spot as he takes quite a bit of heat here from the Toxic Babes. PSK will be able to take down Astro's. Cameraman will fall to Nesk, and now the plant doesn't get stopped. Actually, it will, I do believe. Yes, it will, but it'll actually be from the gun of Palu instead. Cyber to fight back now. With only 5 seconds remaining, they more than likely need to go for the guns instead, but no, it'll be Liquid to shut it down.
And so Liquid barely scraped by on that one as well. Thankfully, the resistance, specifically deeper in the site, the hold for security was a bit of a mixed bag there, and they allowed the plant to go through. Thankfully, however, all the support for that plant fell by the wayside, specifically the supports coming in from the upper hatches and over towards the garage and main stairs area. So Liquid was given the freedom they needed after they picked up those kills to punish the plant, stop it with only about a second or so left on the actual plant timer as well. And slowly but surely, things ended up falling into Liquid's favor, with the time bank running down to a 0 point. FaZe now up against the wall in this series. They need to run the next 2 rounds straight, so they're going to take their tactical and see if they can come up with a winning strategy here for what's going to be a staff room coming up here to potentially save themselves. If not, Liquid's going to take this one with a potential 7-4 or 7-5 victory and a 2-0 overall on the series.
Last time we went to this site, Liquid had a successful defense, although it didn't start off looking that way. It was 2 easy picks for FaZe inside of the archives area, with Nesk having to pull them back from the brink, as he was able to pick up a triple kill, I do believe, in that round, at least a double initially, to at least set things straight inside of the 3 versus 3, and then later on rotating in and making sure that the plant did not go down in order to achieve victory. As of right now, Liquid 1 round away from sealing the deal up against FaZe, not only on their own map pick, but FaZe's map pick as well.
So that pause should be coming to a close here in just a moment. You can see the coach just giving his last words of encouragement and a high five as well for good luck. We'll see if it worked out here. As indeed, his mic has now been muted, and we're heading back into the game here as he flips that back up. Do or die time for the FaZe members. Let's see indeed what they'll bring to the table. Zero is back in the fold. Most notable changeup we immediately see there for the operator lineup. Double heart breach once again, but never mind. We're going to see the Maverick get switched away. They'll just be sticking with the Thermite instead here, as the knock is coming in here for Cameraman instead.
Well, now back into the Nook here, so going to have a lot of secondary hard breach unless Cameraman ended up changing that up and has frag grenades this time around. It's going to allow him to be quite sneaky around the map as well. So we'll have to see if he can use that Hell device to good use and possibly in behind the Liquid members, especially inside of the Teller space like we saw them occupying before. Going to be reinforcing the elevator walls with a mute jammer here as well, just to make sure that things cannot be opened up immediately for FaZe that could lead to a couple of frags onto the Liquid members, as that is going to be a pretty safe space for them to be able to rotate through. And a little later on here, Resets will be setting up the mute jammer. He's going to set 3 of them on this wall, and that's mostly due to the recent nerf that Mute received to the vicinity of his mute jammers.
So with FaZe now out on the board, let's take a look and see what their opening play is going to be here to try and fetch some control across the map here. And going to see a can opener get used really early on just to deal with the castle barricade that was positioned over a break room window. Not too much of an issue overall to be able to use that this early, as there's still a good amount of excess. And again, the hard breach charges themselves, the exos currently contained on souls, those really only need to be saved for the main wall for Square working itself into the staff area itself. Aside from that, not a huge need for hard breach on this site. Assault, Liquid initially with some presence upstairs looking to fend off the play from FaZe, but they don't stick around for a very long time, immediately culling that back and falling down to the first floor here, where they're going to try to play a little bit more into the tellers and archives rooms to try and waste some time for FaZe now that they've taken top square.
Well, Ness will be setting up his last Kona station here inside of the open area to hopefully play some solid defense around. Liquid still waiting for the entry here from FaZe, but obviously FaZe needs some extra insight before they spring to. Looking for some ATM clearance here for Cameraman as well, and that's exactly what I thought was going to be happening with this knock. As they're looking to see if they can possibly get their entry point. Nitrocell out, does some damage back to Cyber, but Reset's also taking some of his own, but that's the pick. Oh no, what the heck just happened there? A ill-advised nade from Bolt will take down Astro. Don't exactly know what happened inside of this, but this is the third blunder inside of this map from FaZe where somebody's died because of it.
That's not Mortar meta. Coming back to bite a team finally here. Somebody mistimed their nade and it came back and hit him apparently. Just guessing, but yeah. No idea how exactly that ended up transpiring, but a super unfortunate turn of events as it's just, again, gifted the 5v4 over to Team Liquid. They can now breathe a sigh of relief and just chill out here. Wait for the potential opening. Oh, nice bank, though. That's going to grab PSK and take him out of the fold here. No impact trick going to come out against the hard breach. Souls will be able to pop the open area right open for the taking here and allow the rest of FaZe to move in through staff.
Ask in a pretty interesting space right now inside of Kitchen, playing on top of the bomb chassis. Adopting this angle here into Square. FaZe have got to hop too soon. 40 seconds remain as Cameraman will pick up resets, and they've been waiting for a very long time for that one to go off, as all of a sudden they have the man advantage. Palu will pull it back, though, as the damage starting to come in onto the Liquid members. Bullet springs forward, and that's going to be a FaZe round there, as they're able to collect it after I don't really know what happened inside of those opening minutes.
A really surprising outcome to that round, given everything that built up to it there.
I mean, if I'm being honest, that was just such a Liquid blunder, it's not even funny. I don't even know why you're standing in relative distance to that when you know the grenade's coming through. You're just asking to get blown up. So it's just super unfortunate there for Liquid. You have the man advantage, play the man advantage. It's just, there's so much going wrong for both of these teams.
No trade setups after the breach is made. You just got three players kind of standing off on an island all on their own. Not even really like a rush take coming in from FaZe or anything either. Just really loose play from Liquid, and they never try to tighten it up to fix things. So
from both of these teams, it's got to be very frustrating for both of these coaches right now to see exactly how this is breaking down. But either way, Liquid still with an opportunity to close this out inside of regulation here as they head back towards the top floor, where Liquid just simply allowed FaZe to plant the last time around. They're going to make the same wall here. And last time, FaZe simply smoked the angle. Sledge opened the wall and were able to walk in and plant inside without a single Liquid member knowing, whilst PSK had some yokai drones around the space. So very interesting stuff happening here. Hopefully we'll see if Liquid can try and batten down the hatches and assist themselves this time around.
All right, Liquid still up on map point here, going for the fully loaded map twice in a row here. Able to take it 7-5 back on map number 1 and looking to repeat that very same amount of success here on map number 2. For the FaZe roster, however, they need to stop this from happening. They need to trigger overtime just to save themselves. That's really going to guarantee map number 3 for themselves over on Chalet, which, to be fair to you, again, should be a pretty fun affair if we do end up making it to that point. But the teeter-tottering between these two teams continue, and it's made it very hard to predict how one round is going to go, let alone an entire map here. So we'll hold our judgment in terms of who may be winning this round and this map until later on here. Nesco gets spotted out there on a bit of an extension towards open area, but still going to maintain his position. In the meanwhile, here comes Cameraman booming up through main stairs. Did not manage to hear the breach from down below, but wow, saved by, once again, just a player who's not ready to take a battle there. Palu is given a second opportunity to turn that fight around against Cameraman because he's busy chucking a nade out. Meanwhile, speaking of nades, Bullet is going to be able to throw one against Nesk, and because he tried to maintain that position, it wrapped around him. You can see where it blew up as well. Some people might be a little confused, like, wait, there's an ADS there. Yeah, it looked looks like it probably went too low, so the ADS did not have any line of sight to be able to stop that. And again, they knew where he was before as well, so they can take him out. Liquid, they'll find a response, though, against Astro, and it'll be resets to pick not only that kill up, but he gets the drop shot off on a cameraman to eliminate him, too.
Minute and 45 seconds remaining, and it only takes the first minute 15 for all of this action to happen. Reset's now downstairs, and he's going to play out his life and see if FaZe want to try and rotate into him. Cyber now moving in towards Tellers, so he'll have control over the stairwell, but we really shouldn't be seeing Resets try and re-aggress just yet. There's still so much time remaining inside of this round for him. FaZe, as of right now, looking towards the sky. Will be repelled on the north windows here. Soul's getting a drone in to spot out exactly what's going down with these Liquid members, as they've cleaned a lot of things up in the current moment. Obviously, Bullet's still on a heater, as he's been the saving grace for FaZe in a lot of different moments. He'll tag up Palu here inside of the Checkers office as we get down to the last minute.
Indeed, 60 seconds remain here. Could be the last 60 seconds for FaZe for today as well, as they're going to need to try and summon some strength to get them back into the fold here. Cyber unable to stop the Toxic Bait from imploding, and that's going to cost him actually a fairly small amount of HP as he gets out of it relatively quickly. At the same time, the advances from Liquid are going to come out as a result of that player being pushed back. Bullet makes up for it, though, by quickly pushing himself into stock here. Cyber's going to move himself outside since he's not the case carrier, and he's going to repel to be able to support Souls from that position. While Bullet will instead move over towards the breach. However, Cyber gonna get caught while trying to move up on top of that. Souls now needs to move in with no support and only 20 seconds left, looking for the exchange before he works himself in. And he's gonna get it against Asp, but at a heavy cost to his own HP. Bullet now watching the flank from Palu, making sure that he's not gonna be able to waltz right up against this. And here we go. Souls, where is the play? Where is the plant? You don't have any time left. You gotta go for it. He's gonna attempt it over here behind the couch. Palu already taken out one. Bullet holds on his own, but he still needs to get the case down, and that's it. GG has been called. Liquid take it 2 maps in a row, 7-5, and a 2-0 overall in this series with 3 additional points coming in for their group standing.
Liquid absolutely electric after that 2-0 win, a 7-5 here on Bank, but honestly, one of the sloppiest maps that I've seen throughout the entirety of this tournament. A lot going back and forth in between these teams, a lot of things that they're more than likely going to want to look into and try and fix up, but a win is a win at the end of the day, and in 2-0 fashion, FaZe will not get a single point for this one.
Possible method to the madness, just to maybe give some justification as to why we were seeing teams play into like these really like default type of strategies and whatnot. These teams know each other fairly well and are probably, you know, synced in when it comes to scrims and whatnot, so maybe they didn't want to reveal anything. Maybe there was a little bit of mutual respect there and they wanted to play this map a little bit straightforward. Like I said, that probably has a little bit more to do with how the groups are standing. If both of these teams are in relatively safe positions, I think that that's more likely, but it's been a while since I've checked in on the group standing, so I'm not entirely sure if that was the case coming into this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend, but I can tell you this, both of these teams definitely can take it to a lot of squads, and we definitely had some interesting interactions, I will say, in between these two across both maps. Some pretty interesting strategy, I would say, but that's for our command center to break down, folks. We're done over here on the casting desk. We're going to send you to a quick break, and we'll be back with our command center.